Hello and welcome to the latest Greater Birmingham Chambers of Commerce Q&A session. And I'm delighted to be joined once again by Chamber patron and local McDonald's franchisee, Doug Wright. Doug, good to see you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Doug. Now, you've been very kind and generous with your time and joined us sort of throughout the coronavirus situation and giving us the benefit of your experiences as we've gone through the different stages and phases. And obviously today, right at the start of July, we're talking about getting back to work, unlocking how that's gone and the challenges. But maybe just to sort of kick us off, give us an update of where your business is sort of right now in terms of restaurants being open and what services you're able to offer as of now.
Sure. So I think the good news is that we have begun to awaken the business. We now have 17 out of our 20 restaurants are trading in some format, which is fantastic. It was certainly much harder opening than closing. Looking back, closing was mandated. You close in 24 hours. We got everything scrubbed, everything sanitized, send the staff home. It was very intense, the closure, whereas the reopening has had to be really thought out. We had long enough to think about it, but I think the good thing was that we had a plan.
Yeah.
And that was going to be pivotal to everything. For us, the big thing that the McDonald's corporate people and our CEO recognized straight away was that as we were all furloughing our staff and closing the business, that the key to reopening was going to be the engagement with the supply chain. Our suppliers have just been fantastic.
Right.
In terms of, we have opened in a phased and controlled way, but the supply chain of McDonald's has been really good. And we often talk about, actually, it's a saying that is very well used in McDonald's, that the three-legged approach of being, working collaboratively with the corporation, franchisees, and the suppliers. And you won't go far wrong if those three elements are all working together. So the communication with the supply chain while we were closed was key.
Yeah.
When we reopened, I think the biggest change is that well-being of staff and customers has been our number one priority. And that's certainly had many sort of different knock-ons and ramifications. The one thing being is that for social distancing in the kitchens and the preparation area, we've had far less people. So we've had smaller teams. So we've had to go slower. And as a brand that's always, wanted to be all about, good service, friendly service, great tasting food, great environment, we've had to keep all those things and everything that's made us successful. We've had to throw into the melting pot and get it all working, but we've absolutely had to have well-being as a number one priority. So we are open. We're open in 17 with at least one or two service channels. The insides of the restaurants are still shut.
Yep.
So we were relying on drive-through and delivery. We will take a huge step forward next week when we will start to broaden our operating hours. So we'll increase our hours.
Yeah.
We will increase our menu, which feels really exciting. We do 11 a.m. till 10 p.m. right now.
Yeah.
But from the 8th of July, we will start to serve breakfast again, which will be very well received by the people across the West Midlands.
And Doug, I mean, you said, locking down seemed like a piece of cake now compared to unlocking, and it's been a gradual process. So I assume that you didn't just on day one of unlocking, did you go straight to 17 restaurants? Or as you say, there's more still to come, but has the period to date when you've been open, that's been phased as well? I suppose you've learned as you've gone along, and that's allowed the supply chain to also reopen because the volumes that McDonald's buys, I know are phenomenal, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I would say to everybody is have a plan and work out. You cannot, as much as you want to, you can't bring back what you closed overnight. So whatever business you are in or whatever part of the hospitality sector you are, don't try and deliver everything on day one, because all of a sudden you've got well-being, you've got social distancing. So for us, there was a pent-up demand for our product for sure. Yeah. But it was a really, really shrewd move of our CEO to say, look, we need to start slowly, test everything, but let's start with reduced hours and a reduced menu to give ourselves a great chance. And the danger is that as you reopen, you've got to stick with the plan. You can't suddenly say, well, it's going really well, let's just add. Yeah. Because you need to, it's phased 11 a.m. till 10 p.m. It's working. Now we know that the drive-throughs are operating well. We opened 2 town centres last week for takeaway and delivery. Yeah. And a massive step forward will be next week when we put breakfast back on the menu. Yeah. And we also put a couple of real sort of favourites on. The big one that returns next week is milkshakes. Oh. So that is something that there is a huge demand for, so that will be great.
And I'm a strawberry milkshake fan myself, just to put that one out there. But
Thank you.
And how have, I guess, staff and customers found it? And have people, you talked about that pent up demand, and I know, when it's sort of, those which are drive-through only, people are queuing and they're keen to get to the window and get their product. Have people been behaving in the right way? Has there been, good sort of tolerance? We haven't seen antisocial behaviour. So that's one of the concerns, isn't it? And as we think about the broader opening up of hospitality, everyone's got to recognise that this is a situation which has been, sort of thrust upon us, and we need to be tolerant and understanding in order to allow it to work effectively. I mean, what have you experienced?
Well, the great thing that we've experienced is, with our staff and our customers, I think that the big sort of, if there's any sort of real positive takeaways from a pandemic, is that I think as a country and a region that we've all come out of it, we're all far kinder and far more tolerant. Yeah. And I think the word that, it's used a lot, but it's very relevant in our case, is that the resilience of our workforce has been incredible. And again, what we tried to do was, before people came back to work, throughout, we engaged with them and we made short videos. So behind the scenes, there's been massive changes, as you can imagine. Yeah. We've got perspex screens to make sure that, people are working away from each other. We've got PPE, gloves, social distancing on the floor. You've got delineated routes where you come in one entrance, you go round and you come out. And so for us, it was about making videos and inviting people back in before they came back to work. Yeah. We almost, we wanted to make sure that we almost reorientated people. So don't just get your people to turn up on this Saturday if you're opening up. Yeah. Because people are nervous and anxious. They've been worried about this for their family and friends, but it is a different McDonald's that we've reopened to the one we shut. But for us, that staff engagement piece has been vital. Yeah. We've also put another person into the business and called them a well-being manager.
Okay.
So that person is there and is at the front door, and it greets every employee who comes in. We use digital technology to take their temperature. And we've just gone back to some real basics about how are you? How are you feeling? Have you got any anxiety? So the well-being manager or manageress had a really key role to play in making sure that people are okay, to sort of fast track any concerns they've got to us. Yeah. And also just to keep constantly reminding people social distancing in the workplace is a priority.
And I suppose that goes to the planning, doesn't it? Because you don't just introduce a wellbeing manager and go, there you go and make sure people are well. It's about thinking about it, when you were locked down, the training, the preparation, and I'd imagine, sort of continual learning as well as you get live feedback, don't you, from people and can sort of see what they're going through. So one thing I wanted to ask as well was how are you managing it now where you've got, a lot of people who are back working, but I'd imagine still, significant number who are furloughed. And so rather than everyone being in the one position, it's now much more of a split. Has that brought challenges, or how are you dealing with that?
It's actually been okay, because what we've been able to do is by bringing back those who could come back to work, we put together like a well-being checklist.
Yeah.
And we sent it to everybody. And we asked them where they were in their journey. Were they ready to come back, or had they got people they were shielding? Had they got anxiety about not being able to get in? Have they got parents or anyone they're looking after? Or a common one was no one to look after the children. That, our employees were looking after their kids and their partner might be working. So when we reopened initially, we brought back about half the workforce. Mm-hmm. And there was so many people, it was really lovely. People really wanting to come back to work. And I'll sort of touch on that in a little while about how we've made sure that they're all okay on an ongoing basis. But the next phase is next week. We'll go from 2 shifts to 3 shifts. We'll add in breakfast. And, it's a local decision when we increase our hours. So a lot of my restaurants are going to go 24 hours, either on the 8th of July next week or a couple of weeks thereafter. So I'm not sure what the new norm is, but we're certainly heading back to a more normal place. And I would envisage by the end of July, we will probably be back at around 90% of our workforce are with us already, which is fantastic.
And that's great, isn't it? Really, really good. And it's and I suppose that's one of the things which will be coming in July then, is the city centre restaurants, where obviously you can't have drive-through operating right now. I know you've got restaurants in Solihull, Sutton Coldfield, just to name a couple. I mean, going to be critical, aren't they, to helping get town centres, city centres operating again? There's lots to talk about return to office space, and then the knock-on impact on hospitality, be it restaurants or coffee shops, etc. And I suppose, what's your sort of view on how the city centre restaurants will maybe differ to your drive-throughs, and I suppose being able to actually operate inside, isn't it? People sit down and eat.
Well, I don't think we're quite ready to reopen the insides. For now, our seating areas remain closed.
Okay.
So we've got 3 more town centres to open in Walsall Town Centre, Lichfield City Centre, and West Bromwich Town Centre, and they're going to follow on pretty much between now and the end of the month. Yeah. So again, they will look different. For us, it'll be about people queuing outside, letting people in safely, social distancing for takeaway and for McDelivery. So they are very different. The dynamics and the landscape of town centres, city centres is changing, but we still believe that we've got a really integral part to play in town centres, because people need to buy coffee, people need to buy meals. And for us, that yes, brands are changing around us, but we still think that, we will be a significant part of the British high street.
Yeah, and I suppose, as you say, so many lessons that you're sort of building in to ensure that you can operate safely and keep the confidence of customers, but staff. And you sort of were touching on that a little bit before, just making sure that people are taken care of and are feeling good about coming to work.
I mean, yeah, one of the things we've done, which has been really, really important, is we haven't just reopened and just assumed that everyone's okay. So we've gone from quarterly feedback, we now gone to weekly feedback. So we're asking staff 10 questions, and we're asking them to update us every week on those 10 questions. And they are all, relate to are they happy at work? You know, do they feel safe at work? And, you know, it's really, really, it's really pleasing, and it you know, it makes me feel very happy to see those scores are going up all the
Great.
time. You know, we started from a really good place, but I think it's critical to engage with your workforce more than ever before. And I guess it's that sort of check and balance and the barometer of where you are.
Yeah.
And, you know, we haven't got everything right, but, you know, when we look afterwards, you know, we certainly haven't got everything right. But what we've done is we've tested it first.
Yeah.
And then what's really interesting, as soon as you can test it forevermore, but the best test is when you bring your customers into the equation, because your customers will tell you how to do it, and they'll tell you how to do it better and what they expect from you.
And so that's where if you come with an attitude of patience and recognizing that you're not going from 0 to 60 straight off, but it will be a process. You keep learning, adapting to the new conditions, and you're going to get better and better. I mean, so you know, key lessons, Doug, and for people who are watching, whatever industry, I mean, you know, hospitality, but just businesses looking to reopen now. What would be some of the key lessons that you'd draw out from your experience?
I think that there's several key things. I think the first thing is that your staff and their well-being has to be number one priority. And that, for me, that would be, you know, my advice to everyone, whichever kind of business you're in. If you're a solicitor, you know, and there people are worried about, you know, coming in on public transport, or they're worried about, people worry about all sorts of different things. So for us, making sure that well-being has been, everything goes through the lens of well-being. And that's been really key. And that our staff have really appreciated it. You know, the fact that we acted first, you know, everyone's wearing face coverings. You know, that's been a big thing. When the staff came back to work, they were unsure about how's it going to be in the kitchen. They came into the kitchen and saw perspex screens everywhere. So number one priority has to be well-being. And well-being can't be an action. It has to be behavioral, and it has to be cultural within your organization. So it's a big thing to say, we're going to look after you and the safety of the staff and our customers and our delivery partners. It's got to be everything you do. And like, you know, every day now, when we visit the restaurants, whether it's area managers, myself as a franchisee and business owner, it's very different, because your first thing you've got to comment on is, does everything look safe? And is it a good environment? And is everyone happy? And we've done that brilliantly, but it's not one to tick off on day one, say we've done that. It's got to be intuitive, and it always becomes part of your culture and your DNA. So that would be the first thing. The second comment, or second tip, would be make sure that you engage with your supply chain, because you've got to tell them what your plans are so that they are aligned to, they've got to feel bought into the plan, because you can't just suddenly say, oh, we're going to put another service platform on, or we're going to start serving breakfast, which means, you know, we need eggs, we need bacon, we need muffins, you know, everything we serve, that brings in a critical and a massive number of core menu items. So whatever you're doing, whether it's your manufacturing, talk to people,
communicate.
Just, you know, but the thing about the corporation, the suppliers and the franchisees, if any of those three elements aren't working in collaboration, you won't be able to deliver your plan. So the supply chain is absolutely key. And I think the biggest thing for us as being is that it's difficult. And as a business owner, you've got to be so careful about the language you use with your workforce, because if people are nervous, however I feel, I've got to make sure that I just deal with that. I'm calm and kind. And the calmness and kindness goes a long way, because it sort of permeates throughout your workforce. So, you know, I've talked about well-being, I've talked about the supply chain, but the way you act as a business person. You can sit at home and think this is really awful, or you can say, right, this has happened.
Yeah.
Let's get a plan. And it's vital that your plan, and this is probably my final lesson, is that you have a plan that is realistic, and will allow everyone to come back in a safe and controlled way. So, you know, we saw great success in the first few days that, you know, people wanted our products and were prepared to wait for them.
Yeah.
But the wrong thing would be add more hours or add more menu items.
Yeah, don't get greedy, smart and safe. And that's great. And just to wrap up, I mean, optimistic about the coming sort of months and the future?
Listen, every day you read the newspaper and, you know, it's jobs being lost at Harrods or, you know, John Lewis. You know, our own sector is really, really difficult. But stick your head above the parapet, you know, and just make sure that we're going to have to change. And we're going to have to make sure that, what are the two words I'd use, that we're going to have to make sure that our brand plays to the strength of customization and personalization. What that means for us is that customers have got to order how they want, when they want, and they've got to be able to customize it.
Yeah.
So when we closed on the 22nd of March, how we've reopened is very different. And I think we've got to use that as almost like the catalyst to say, yeah, we've had this pandemic, but we've got to move forward and we've got to be very. Year, for instance, we haven't run Monopoly, which has been one of our big hitters every year. Our customers simply love it. And we give away millions of prizes, but it wasn't the right time to do it. So for that, it's about our plans are fluid. And just all the time, just think about it won't be the same world. You know, for me, we have to think and put everything through the lens of digital, which plays back into what I was just saying, customization and personalization. You know, the delivery platform is going to be huge. Yeah. So I think those are the lessons I would give. And I think finally, make sure that when you are open, that you can look back and say you were proud of how you acted to the workforce, to your customers, and that you did things in a respectful and kind and caring way. So that would be me, Paul.
I think that's a great way to wrap it up. Really important lesson. You know, the behavioural side of this is so key. You know, recognize it's different. Use that as an opportunity to get better. You know, continually improve. Deal with the fact that it's going to be different, but there's ways you can make that better. And sort of think beyond just the practical. Don't get greedy. Keep your eyes on the horizon, as it were, and together we'll come through. But Doug, thank you very much. I'm sure we will check in again as we continue on this journey. It's been invaluable, tapping into your experiences, thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to say good luck to everybody across the West Midlands reopening at the weekend. Yeah, you know, we've been there, and you'll enjoy it. Think of it as an opportunity. It will be different, but it's so good to be back at the day job and serving customers. So thanks again.
Thanks, Doug.